Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Tuesday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Got a good show lined up today, one that I'm really excited about. Obviously, it's Tuesday. That means good old Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show will join us. The second part of the program, my high school teammate back at Pascagoula High School, who's now the head basketball coach of the Wichita State Shockers. He was an interim coach starting at the beginning of the year. They win their conference about 3 weeks ago. They named him the permanent head coach, and he's going to be in Indianapolis, and he's going to give us a rundown of what all's going on with all the COVID stuff. His name is Isaac Brown. So looking forward to that. But in the meantime, let's go to Ocala, and we're joined by good old Buddy Martin. Good morning, buddy. How are you?
Morning, Shane. How you doing this morning? It seems like it's awful early. Why is that?
Well, the time change I haven't gotten used to yet. I mean, I'm awake regardless, but it's just, with it being dark in the morning, it just doesn't seem right. So it's going to take me about a week to get ready for this, get used to it, but we'll be ready to roll. Buddy, before we get going here, talking about different things, Gator baseball tonight, big game in Tallahassee against the Semis. I want to say that game is on SEC Network. I'm not 100% sure, but hopefully it is.
Oh, so too. I get confused. I can't find anything anymore. Just so confused trying to go on my phone to get some stuff and my, they're not like you can just dial it up. So I just go to the radio. What the heck? I can battle that. But yeah, big game, and it's going to be an interesting spring. As soon as things clear out now, the basketball team gets his one win and goes home.
Buddy.
Let me finish, because I picked them to win twice. I got an upset, but that's probably what they're going to do. They'll beat Virginia Tech and they'll go on and lose. I've got an upset for them in the second round, but I'm just saying it's probably going to happen. And then we get so many spring sports. Then you add on there things like the Gator Nationals and what have you. It's hard to get a clear picture of what Sully's team is like.
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out a little bit tonight against Florida State, but obviously conference play, I believe A&M cranks up the SEC schedule. Softball is rolling along. I think they've only lost 2 games, one at Florida State, and they lost 1 game to Kentucky, which I didn't realize Kentucky's ranked like number 9 in America.
I didn't either until you told me that, yeah.
Well, the SEC, it's just a bloodbath in baseball and softball every week. But Tim Walton will have his girls in Oklahoma City. I'm pretty sure of that. All right, buddy. So we got March Madness right around the corner, the play-in games, which my buddy Isaac Brown, his crew, Wichita State plays in one of those games against Drake.
We're pulling for him. We're pulling for you, buddy, to win that game.
Yeah, I mean, think about that, buddy. Greg Marshall, who did a really good job with that Wichita State program, had some issues. They fire him before the season starts. Make my high school buddy the interim head coach. They were picked 7th in the league preseason. They win the league. Wow. And I think at the end of February, they made him the permanent head coach. So he coached with Mike White he coached with Mike White at Louisiana Tech. He coached with Pelfrey at Arkansas. So he's a really good guy, great coach. So yeah, I'm pulling for Wichita State to win some ball games. In the meantime, though, if you want to get a part of our program, podupwithshane.com. That's the website. But if you want to be a part of our March Madness bracket contest, we'll put a link up here, but you go to ESPN.com and then you click on the brackets wherever it is, and they're going to ask for a group. And I think you just type in Pod Up with Shane. The group pops up. Then that's where you fill out your bracket. Yeah. They keep track of all that. So we're going to give away a prize pack for our winners.
Pod Up with Matthews in the morning, huh?
Oh, it's Pod Up with Matthews in the morning. Pod Up with Shane or Pod Up with Matthews in the morning. Just find it, and we'll put the link up here. But we want a lot of people in our contest. So what's going on, buddy? Anything?
Well, I want to
exciting?
compete with you head to head now, okay? For the worst bracket. I think I can beat you.
Well,
For the
we
worst bracket.
might. I'm going to pick some upsets. I'm not going to pick anybody other than Gonzaga winning it because I just think
Yeah.
they're that good.
Yeah, you're a Zags homer, I know. And they're good. They got, what, 4 All-Americans? I mean, my gosh, they got the talent. So I haven't seen them but like highlights this year. And as you know, I've kind of this year has wiped me out of any regularly scheduled programming. I can't follow it all. I'm doing good to turn on your show in the morning so I can get it on. So much going on, but I'm hoping you promised me I'd get excited after Sunday's brackets. I'm still not feeling it, Shane.
You're not? Well,
No,
I mean, maybe when you turn the TV on Thursday night with the play-in games, that'll get you
No, that
going.
won't do it for me. I'm rooting for your guy, but I'm waiting to see what happens on Friday. You know, obviously that 12-15 game is important, and beating Virginia Tech, and I just hate seeing Mike White get butchered by so many people. Yeah,
It blows my mind.
yeah.
I mean, it just blows my mind.
So I'm not going to mention that today because we'll both get pissed off. Okay, so we won't do that.
Yeah,
but
before we jump into Gator stuff, buddy, Drew Brees, you've covered. You know, Terry Bradshaw's a very close friend of yours. You covered the NFL for a long time. This guy had one hell of a career.
Boy, he did. And you know, Terry Bradshaw loves Drew Brees. He's always loved him. He's really kind of a closet Saints fan, being a kid from Shreveport, you know. And he's told me a long time ago what a great quarterback this guy was, and I could even see it for myself. I mean, he didn't do anything spectacular. He didn't have a powerful arm. He didn't have great wheels. He was the epitome of the field general. He knew where to get the ball to, how to get it to his receivers. They just completed passes, Shane. And when you add up what he did, I don't think we'll get the full impact of what Drew Brees did until down the road we look back and say, what was that team that was so good back there that the Saints had? Oh, yeah, Drew Brees. They don't have him anymore. So, yeah, he's got long career. He's beloved by people in New Orleans because of all the things he did for the community after the hurricane. So, yeah, well done, Drew Brees. We're going to miss you.
Yeah, he hell of a player. I loved his game. Like you said, not real big, barely 6 foot, not a great arm, extremely smart, extremely accurate. You know, what's interesting is, buddy, you know, when he was out in San Diego and he had that arm issue, he was a free agent. What would have happened if Nick Saban, who was the head coach of the Dolphins at the time, had signed Drew Brees instead of, I believe he signed Dante Culpepper?
He did.
I tell you what, all the college football fans and SEC folks wish he would have signed Drew Brees because he'd probably still be in Miami.
He probably would, but don't beat up on my homeboy now, on Dante. But,
no, nothing against him. But I mean, we're talking the guy that holds pretty much every passing record there is.
I got to represent my Ocala guys, you know. So I mean, but yeah, you're right about that. A lot of people think he'd still be coaching in Miami had Brees gone to the Dolphins. So the trades you don't make and the things you don't do, Shane, changes the course of history, doesn't it?
It really does. And we just put up on Facebook Live the link if you want to get in on the bracket challenge. It's all explained right there. I probably butchered the explanation, but all you got to do is click on that and fill out your brackets, and we'll have some good prizes to give away to whoever wins it. Buddy, what else is Nebraska and Oklahoma? I saw where they're talking about trying to put a game together. Are they going to play?
Well, they supposedly have an agreement upon one, according to what I read yesterday. But there's some suggestion by pundits that maybe Scott Frost bit off more than he can chew, and that perhaps there's these these dates with these other, these non-Power 5 schools, and some people are suggesting that would take the place of what I think they said was a scheduled game. Now, I got to check that, but I read this that fan-sided story this morning or last night, and it sounded like they were accusing Scott Frost of being chicken. On second thought, after seeing what Oklahoma did to the Gators, it might be a mission of mercy because Oklahoma will hammer Nebraska. And Scott Frost needs to get something going. So as much as I want this game to take place, because Shane, I've been going to Nebraska-Oklahoma games before you were born. I mean, before your daddy was born. Some of the greatest games I ever saw, the Johnny Rodgers team covered that game in Miami. And not to have that game is ridiculous, you know. And it's what has happened to college football is they've forgotten their mission. You need the fire and passion of those rivalries. The basketball club needs to be one.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I also believe Texas and A&M should play each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, those. I mean, it's just like Florida and Florida State. Have those two, have A&M and Texas play the last game of the year, and have Oklahoma and Nebraska play the last game of the year.
Can you imagine there was no Florida State game last year? Can you imagine you'd ever in your lifetime you'd never see that?
I know. I mean, just think about if we didn't play them ever again. Because that's basically what happened. You know, A&M they just basically said we're not doing this rivalry game anymore. Yeah. And I know a lot of people want it, but I guess I don't know if it'll ever happen again. So we shall see. Refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. March is your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. We're speaking with Buddy Martin on the Titan MR Hotline. We'll be joined in the second half of the show by my old high school teammate Isaac Brown, who's the head coach of the Wichita State Shockers. He'll be joining us.
Go Shockers! Go Shockers!
Indianapolis, talking. He and I spoke briefly on the phone about everything they're having to do, and it is bizarre. So make sure you stay tuned and listen to what all these teams that are in Indianapolis are having to go through in their hotel. So, Buddy, spring practice for the Gators. I think this is the last week of it. No spring game. I know you've talked to Coach Mullen, talking to you last night. I think you talked to Coach Mullen through Zoom. Is it still through Zoom?
Yeah, the Zoom press conference on Monday, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You basically, I can't remember exactly what you said to him, but it sounds like you always stirred up with Coach Mullen.
I don't know what it is. I must ask the questions wrong or something, but I just wanted to know, you know, people, they change their habits. You just talked about these great games that are going by, you know, like they're extinct. And if you're not careful, you can kind of let your fan base drift away. Now, I'm not suggesting that's going to happen to Florida, but just as a guy who does his show every night, just like you do every week, and talking to Gator fans and listen to them, whatever, listen to your show, there's a possibility there's a little bit of steam missing from Gator football right now. And I don't mean to be a negative person, but I sort of asked that question of Dan Mullen about that yesterday. And I didn't mean to come off wrong, but the fact is now is the time for Mullen to step up because there is a spring game, and that's a big day at Florida. I'm not a big fan of the spring games, but I think just getting back to Gainesville and sort of getting retethered to Gator sports, Gator football is an important part of what this is all about. And you add in no spring game, and now you have an uncertainty of the schedule, and you've got a long time until the games are played. And then you think with all the COVID stuff, people get out of the habit of going to the game because they got their TVs now. And it's a great experience. And the one thing the Swamp has got is what? Fire, juice, fans. Everybody has felt some of that fall off. I think it's hurt Gator football some. I think to this day, if Florida had fans in the stands against LSU, despite the thing that happened with the shoe, Florida would have won that game. So I wonder if there's anybody thinking this besides me, and probably not. And Mullen didn't seem to be concerned about it in his comments to me.
Well, I think there's some merit to that. But let's go back, buddy. We didn't lose that game against LSU because we threw a shoe. There are multiple reasons why we lost that game. But I think not having a spring game, and I think we're on a 3-game losing streak, right? Didn't we lose our last 3 games?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think there's a sour taste in everybody's mouth. But I think there'll be a lot of excitement come, July or June, whenever Coach Mullen starts on his little Gator Club tour. And I'm expecting the stadium to be full. Maybe I'm being too optimistic, but I think it's going to be full next year. And I think the Gator fans will be excited. I mean, heck, week 3, we got the Alabama Crimson Tide rolling into town. So there'll be a lot of excitement.
All summer long, the question is going to be, Coach, can you beat Alabama? And
that's a great question. That's a great question.
I asked him that yesterday because I said, you're going to get this question. And he quickly brought up, well, we came within 6 points of them last year. So that's coaches don't like to have a focal point like that. That's going to be the story. Because if they beat Alabama, things are back. And then So the one thing I wanted to say about that, Dan said, talking about crowds and people, is that being in person makes a lot of difference. We know that. He brought up his experience being at Sawgrass and what that was like to watch the Players Championship in person and seeing the fans. And he said it was invigorating, and he ran into a lot of Gator fans who couldn't wait to get back. So maybe he's right. Maybe it'll be fine.
I think we will be fine. I mean, we can ask him every day of the week, can we beat Alabama? I mean, hopefully his question is, yeah, we can beat Alabama. I mean, a lot of things have to happen, but that's why you play the game. You know, anything can happen. We don't know. They don't have an experienced guy behind center, although he's extremely talented. And you know they're going to have players. So we'll see.
Well, Shane, you had that question facing you in your first year, and Alabama's never going to go away. No matter what we say, they'll always be a standard. So how do you measure your program? A lot of times you measure it against Alabama. And right now, everybody falls short. So it's such an important game, an important time for the Florida program that, yes, Dan Mullen's going to be asked about it, and he should.
It's a huge game, but I mean, if you lose, it doesn't mean the season's over.
No,
I mean,
it does.
I don't think a lot of people around the country think we'll beat Alabama, but time will tell. I think we'll know a lot about Alabama's team leading up to our game. You know, how they look with a lot of new players, new faces. We're going to have a lot of new faces too. We'll be a totally different team. Buddy, switching gears a little bit, we got to talk golf. You and I like to talk golf.
We do.
And I thought the tournament at TPC was outstanding. And I said on my show all week last week, whether you're a golf fan or not, you know, a lot of people don't like golf. This is a tournament for you to watch. You know, you can enjoy it because it's the best field in all of golf. It's better than the majors. I mean, better. Yeah. All the other majors. This is it. This is their tournament. So the top players in the world go to it. It's a beautiful golf course with some great holes that can cause a lot of commotion. And we saw it. I mean, one of the best players in the world who won last week topped the ball. I don't know if I've ever seen a pro top a ball. Then the guy in his group slices a ball. This is stuff you see out at the Ocala Muni golf course.
Right.
And then Brendan Tide, I think it was, on 17, shanked his tee shot into the middle of the lake at the oak tree, which is 40 yards from the island green. So you got to see stuff that you never get to see on the PGA Tour.
You did, and you got to see a 47-year-old guy competing his heart out the U.S., but Dan Mullen was secretly pulling for him. He likes DeChambeau. His son, Cannon, got a chance to say hi to DeChambeau and made his day at Players. But secretly, I know why. Dan's a Brit, okay? He's from England. So obviously in his heart of hearts, he's pulling for the Brit. I'm just kidding, Coach. But no, it was really a wonderful and the way that Justin Thomas held together and played, grinding. He wasn't even playing well till the second round. He found something. He was striping the ball. What a shot maker he is. He had a dream. He had a drive on 18. He defied gravity by not going in the water. He got really lucky there. That ball bounced and went 30, 40 yards out of the fairway instead of going in the water. And he took advantage of it. So it was three guys battling. The heat of battle down the stretch on Sunday, the final three best finishing holes in golf. What else could you want? Well, we'd like to have Tiger. But meanwhile, those three guys carried the mail pretty darn well.
Yeah, there's so many great players, young players on tour. I mean, obviously Westwood's story being at 47, no caddy. His fiance carries the bag, and that's all she does. She does nothing else. He's old school. You know, he's got his yardage book. He's testing the yardage, whereas everybody else has their caddies. But, you know, golf everybody is so close to winning. It's all about usually the breaks and the bounces. You know, you go back to the second shot by Bryson DeChambeau on 16 into the par 5. He didn't hit it very well, and he barely cleared the front bunker, but he did, and he hit the downslope and went straight to the hole. You know, if that ball is 2 inches shorter, it goes into the front bunker. So, you know, in the same way with Justin Thomas, as you mentioned on 18, if that ball doesn't kind of hit the side of the hill and kicks forward, you know, if it hits on the other side of the hill, boom, it's in the water. So it's all about your breaks. Anybody can win on that tour. So many good players out there. But yeah, it would have been great if Tiger was out there. But I think golf is in a good position with some
Good
of these
hands.
young guns.
Yeah, and I can't wait till the first week of April because you know what happens then.
Yes, the Masters. I can't wait either. Buddy, before we let you go here, as you mentioned, you and I are going to hopefully you'll participate and you can lose to not only me or possibly I could lose to you, but all our great listeners here with our March Madness bracket contest. Who right now do you have in your Final Four?
Well, listen, here I give myself a caveat here. I can change this every week, okay, for me. Because once they play,
you can't change it after the tournament starts.
I can in my brackets the way I do.
Oh, okay.
So right now I'll ask my wife. She'll do better than me, and she knows nothing. But right now, and I know I've got all chalk pretty much. I've got your Gonzaga team in there. I've got Baylor in there. I've got Illinois in there, and I know people say they're down a guy. I've got Michigan in there. Those are my Final Four.
Michigan's down a guy.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned about the Michigan team. I really like your other three. I think will be there. I'm not sure. Ohio State's on the Gator side of the bracket, but who's the 1 seed on that side?
The 1 seed is Illinois. No.
Okay.
The one seed is Baylor.
Oh, Baylor. Okay. So I'm trying to think of who's the 1 seed on the side of Florida State. Is it Michigan?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I haven't done my bracket yet, but I think Florida State has a chance to make a deep run. I don't think Michigan, in my opinion, can make it to the Final Four without Isaiah Livers. I think he's that good of a player and what he does for their team. But gosh, Illinois, the way they played now, they should have lost the other day to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game because I think Ohio State is outstanding. I mean, the Big Ten was just very strong this year, as was the Big 12. So we shall see. But we got to get Buddy excited. I mean, I guess the only way you
can't get into it right now.
The only way you're going to get excited is if the Gators win.
Yeah, if the Gators win and knock off Ohio State. And by the way, wait. I've got that picked, okay? I know I'm going to be an idiotic homer, but I'm saying, why not pick some upsets? I don't have many. So I thought, you know what? This team could get hot and maybe Trey Mann will score 50 and who knows? And Ohio State, I know, is physical and good and all that stuff. But I'm going with the SEC or the Big Ten there, okay? I think Florida will beat Virginia Tech. So that's just, again, I have no great knowledge or wisdom. It's just a gut.
Well, I hope you're right. Chris says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. He says he has Illinois winning at all. Chris, make sure you go to our bracket challenge and fill out your bracket because we want to see.
Tell them again how to do that. How do you do that again? Tell me.
Well, we have the link up here, so it's simple. They just click on it. But you go to ESPN.com, their March Madness bracket contest. You click on the group, and then you search and you just type in "Pot Up with Shane Matthews."
Is it Pot Up with Matthews or Pot Up with Shane Matthews?
It says join my group. Pot Up. My great staff does this for me.
Oh, you got a great staff.
The group says Pot Up with Shane Matthews. So
you know what Evan is? Evan's like your left tackle. He saves your butt every day, just so you know.
Well, I'm glad Evan didn't play left tackle. At his size, I would have got killed.
He can handle it.
Yeah, but Evan, dude, if you have computer issues, he can get it done. There is no question about that.
He's much more than that.
Lauren Meadows says he's got Gonzaga winning it all. Too deep and well coached. I agree.
That's a high guy. Wow. Lauren, Buckeyes. You don't go be with your Buckeyes, Lauren, my man?
He's a Buckeye?
He lives in Dayton. He's a good friend and a good listener to our program.
Well, buddy, let's talk about this day in sports, which is brought to you by Comfort Temp.
Let's see if I can guess. I'm going to guess.
Peace of mind is our promise. This month, get a free annual maintenance plan with every residential duct cleaning purchase, $199 value. Service department's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In 1994, this had to do with the Olympics.
Okay.
Figure skating. You know what happened?
Was that the woman who hit the woman in the knee with the?
You're dang right it was. Tanya Harding.
Yeah.
Tanya Harding pleads guilty to felony attack on Nancy Kerrigan.
Yeah, I forgot the names already. But it was a big story. Huge story.
Was. So that's this day in sports brought to by our friends at Comfort Temp.
You were playing in the NFL by then. By the way, just let me mention, if it's okay, that you should be sure and tune in tonight to the Buddy Martin show, but it won't be me. It'll be double coverage of the Cassie Hill of Gator Bait and Jackie Franchuli, two really knowledgeable reporters. They do it every Tuesday night now. They let me do like two-minute clip of us, and then they do the whole show. So tonight, that's what we're doing.
Well, buddy, take the night off, regather yourself, get excited, get you some coffee or something, and dude, it's March Madness, buddy. Get excited. Beautiful weather here in the state of Florida.
I'm trying, Shane.
I know you are. But, yeah, make sure you tune in tonight to the Buddy Martin Show. Check out double coverage, and you can check out Buddy every weekday night about 9 o'clock on Facebook Live. Buddy, be safe, my man. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, Shane. Thank you very much.
That's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. Going to take our first time out. We come back. We'll be joined by my buddy Isaac Brown, head basketball coach of the Wichita State Shockers. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning.
Hey Gators, this is Coach Steve Spurrier. Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Route Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TV Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Darshakow Insurance. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Back to this Tuesday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Celebration Point's where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Dave & Buster's, Nike, Sushi Hana, Uzzaline Day Spa, and coming June of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan MR hotline, and we have a special guest, my old high school basketball teammate in Pascagoula, who's now the head basketball coach of the Wichita State Shockers, Coach Isaac Brown. Good morning, Isaac. How are you, buddy?
Good, brother. Thanks for having me on the show. Good to see you, man.
Absolutely. So I want to go back when I have coaches and athletes on my show. I like to go back to their younger days. As I said, you grew up in Pascagoula, went to Pascagoula High School. We played basketball together. Talk a little bit about, we won the state championship in football. That class of 88 at Pascagoula High School had so many athletes, it was ridiculous. But we probably had one of the best high school basketball teams I've ever seen. Unfortunately, we had to play in the same damn district as Chris Jackson.
Yeah.
Just talk a little bit about your high school playing days and those guys on that Pascagoula team in 1988.
You know what? You guys put a lot of pressure on us because coming into the season, we were so-called a team that was supposed to win it. But you guys surprised everyone and went 14-0 with a big-time football team, and y'all put a lot of pressure on us. The high school team was really good. You had Dale Brown, starting two guard, went to Kentucky. You had a three-man, Fred Williams, who could have played anywhere in the country. He chose an academic school in Louisiana College. You had Elbert Rogers. They went to UAB, about 6'8", one of their all-time leading scorers. Antonio Harvey. You had a bunch of guys off the bench who played Division I. We had a good basketball team. I think we lost 4 games that year, and they were all to Gulfport High School and Chris Jackson. We lost our last game to those guys at the buzzer, but it was such a great experience playing at Pascagoula High. Like you said, it must have been some in the water that year, man. It was just Division I athletes walking around. We had to have at least, I would say, 30 Division I athletes at one time,
easy.
if not more.
easily. I mean, it was crazy. And, I was fortunate to be part of that basketball team. Didn't get to play a lot, but was on the team. So Isaac, after high school, you go to Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, were a star there. You end up going to Texas A&M for a year, and then to Northeast Louisiana, which is now called Louisiana Monroe. But talk a little bit about your playing days in college, and you also got to participate your last year at Northeast Louisiana playing in the NCAA tournament. What was that experience like?
You know what? Out of high school, unfortunately, I didn't get highly recruited, so I had to go to junior college route. And when I went to junior college, my junior college team wasn't as talented as my high school team. So I was fortunate enough to get a lot of shots. My recruiting started to rise. I signed with Texas A&M. The head coach at the time, he was from Mississippi, a guy named Kermit Davis, who is now the head coach at Ole Miss. After going to Texas A&M, we went on probation. I transferred to a school called Louisiana Monroe. And the reason I transferred there, you may not remember, but it was a kid at our high school named Troy Cobb. He was older than us, and Troy played basketball there. And I went on an unofficial visit. I ended up playing at Louisiana Monroe. And, we made it to the NCAA tournament. We won 27 games. We wind up losing to Iowa. They had a really good basketball team, but it was a great experience. I really enjoyed it, and I met a lot of people.
So, Isaac, you got into coaching. You've coached all over the place. You coached at Arkansas with John Pelfrey, who was an assistant under Billy Donovan here. You coached with Mike White at Louisiana Tech, who's now the Gator coach. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit about him. But did you always want to think about being a basketball coach?
Yes, always. I knew if I didn't play professionally, I wanted to coach basketball. And I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity. Out of junior college, I got recruited by a school called Middle Tennessee State University, and their head coach was Bruce Stewart. When I first got my first job at Pearl River Junior College, he offered me a job at a school called Okaloosa Walden, which is down in Destin, Florida. In Destin, Florida, at that JUCO, I recruited a kid named Kedrick Brown, who was the first junior college player ever taken in the NBA lottery. And I tell kids all the time about building relationships. And my first job at South Alabama, I got that job because Dale played with John Pelfrey. So my high school teammate knew Coach Pelfrey. He offered me a job. I worked with Pel probably for 8 years there and at Arkansas. After we got fired at that job, I got the associate head job at Arkansas State, working for a Final Four coach in John Brady, who was the head coach at LSU. The other assistant on that staff was a guy named Richard Williams, who was the head coach at Mississippi State. So I worked with 2 Final Four coaches at that school who were both Mississippi guys, and I learned a lot working with those guys. Michael White called me at Louisiana Tech, offered me a job. At first, I was unsure, but I knew Mike's background and knew he was a good coach. I went to Louisiana Tech with him for 3 years. We won back-to-back championships. I wanted to be a head coach. And at the time, I just didn't feel like I could get a job from Louisiana Tech. So I left and came to work for Greg Marshall at Wichita State. I think the following year, Mike left and took the job at Florida. Mike was a great coach, great offensive mind, one of those guys that was always studying the game. He's a player coach. He lets his player play. And if you can create off the bounce, you need to go play for Mike White, because he's going to allow you to do the things that you're allowed to do in AAU basketball and things like that.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I've been doing radio and podcasts, and it's like this everywhere. Everybody is all over Mike White, because when we lose a game, people don't understand in basketball, you're going to lose a bunch of games for the most part, especially this year. What he's done this year, I think, is remarkable with the Keontae Johnson deal. I don't even know what I would do as a head coach or just being on the coaching staff to see one of my players collapse like that. I mean, he was the SEC preseason player of the year. You lose him. So I think he's done a tremendous job. We're speaking with Coach Isaac Brown, the head coach of the Wichita State Shockers. He's actually in Indianapolis. They're quarantined, and we're going to get into that in just a second. But I want to go back. As you said, you've been at Wichita for, how many years?
7 years.
7 years now. As an assistant. Greg Marshall was let go this year, so they gave you the interim tag. I saw where Wichita State was picked like 7th preseason in the AAC, and you end up winning the league title in your first year. They take your interim tag off at the end of February, and you finally become a head coach. Not only that, though, I read you were the first black head coach, not only at Wichita State, but in the state of Kansas. So tell me what it felt like when you got the call from the AD. Did he call you in the office and say, hey, man, we're going to make you the new head basketball coach?
You know what? When he first gave me the interim job, I just met with the team and told those guys, just trust the process, give me an opportunity. I know you guys came here to play for a Hall of Fame coach. You know, I worked for Coach for 7 years, and I just told those guys that no matter what, we're going to have a basketball season. And those guys bought in. They came to Wichita just for the rich basketball tradition, all the NCAA tournaments, and those guys bought in, and we were able to bring a championship back to Wichita. I was sitting in the office one day. The athletic director came in right before practice. He had a folder in his hand, and he said, Isaac, I want to offer you the job. I said, I'm so excited about this. Can we wait till we play these last 2 games? He said, no, I want to do it now, Brown. I said, I'm cool with that. Let's go. We walked into practice. I told the players, I was just so excited, just to have an opportunity after 19 years. This is something that I wanted to do always, but I never had an opportunity. I had a couple of interviews. I didn't get those jobs, but I was fortunate to be at the right place at the right time in a great basketball city with a rich basketball tradition.
Yeah, speaking of that, I don't believe Wichita State plays any level of football there, correct?
They had football back in the day. They canceled it. They don't play football anymore. They actually had a football team back in the early days, and some athletes died in a plane crash.
Oh, goodness, yeah. And so I know they have a pretty good, rich tradition. I remember when Wichita State, when I was a youngster growing up, they were always in the College World Series. So I know they were pretty good in baseball. But what is it like? Because, you grew up a sports guy. You've been in the South. You've been at schools where football is the king. And that's kind of how it is here at the University of Florida, although Florida's had a lot of success in basketball with 2 titles under Billy Donovan. But you're pretty much the sport on campus, right?
Yes. Wichita is a city of about 600,000 people, and we don't wear helmets here. I tell kids all the time in the South, like, when someone goes to a Florida Gator football game, it's going to be 100,000 people there, all right? If they go to just say any typical Southeastern Conference team to a basketball game and they play a lower level school, it may be 2,500 people at that game. If we play a basketball game here, we could play Mobile College and it'll be 16,000 people in the stands. Like, they love basketball. It's the only show in town, and they understand it. You got great basketball fans that if you dive on the floor for a loose ball, they may stand up and give you a standing ovation. They got a rich basketball history. We've been to 8 NCAA tournaments in the last 9 years.
Yeah, Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. We're talking with the Wichita State Shocker head basketball coach, Isaac Brown. You can follow him on Twitter at Coach_I Brown, my former high school teammate there at Pascagoula High. So, Coach, let me ask you this. Y'all had a lot of success at Wichita State. I want to say, we're going to talk about who, some of the teams you might play in the tournament if y'all advance. But Gonzaga is clearly the best team in America right now. I watch a lot of college basketball. I guess I'm a junkie. I don't know if I've ever seen a more complete team than what they have. Having said that, though, I want to say y'all's team, Wichita State, was the last undefeated team to enter the tournament. I could be wrong, but is that right?
I think so, but I'm not positive. I think Gonzaga may have had a team as well after that.
After that, okay. So you coached. You were on that you were coaching that team when y'all were undefeated. I think you lost to Kentucky. Is that the team when you had Van Fleet and Landry Shamet and that whole crew?
No, I didn't coach that team. It was before I got here. Fred Van Vliet played on that team, I want to say his sophomore year. The following year, I came in, and that's when it was Fred Van Vliet, Landry Shamet, all those guys. And we went to the NCAA tournament, and we ended up beating Kansas, beating Vanderbilt, and we ended up losing to Notre Dame. We also had another NBA player on that team by the name of Ron Baker. Ron Baker was a walk-on to Wichita State, and he wind up signing like a 3-year, $18 million deal with the New York Knicks.
I remember him. He could shoot it. There's no question about that. So I was texting you during y'all's conference tournament, and I think people don't realize, because I'm going by Florida fans here, Isaac. Florida didn't play well against Tennessee. They beat Vandy the first game, and they got it blown out by Tennessee. But as you said, when you go to those conference tournaments, nobody wants to go home. How difficult is it as a coach getting your team prepared when it comes to conference tournaments?
It's very difficult because a lot of times you're playing against teams that you already beat. So your guys kind of think in the back of their minds it's going to be easy. All the teams have a sense of urgency, like you said, because they don't want their season to end. And it's the second and third time you've played those guys, so they really prepare for you. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure on teams that are on the bubble because it's win or go home. You have to win those games. The first game against South Florida, had we not won that game, we probably wouldn't be in the NCAA tournament. The team we lost to, Cincinnati, we're always battling with those guys in the conference tournament. Unfortunately, we lost that game by 1 point. But I think our body of work throughout the year, winning the American Conference Championship, going on the road and beating a good Ole Miss team, beating Houston at home, that was a top 10 team that was able to get us over the hump and put us in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, no question. Back to your coaching days, like you said, you've coached for a lot of different coaches. Is there one coach that you took, like how you're trying to mold your team, or did you just kind of learn from all the coaches that you work for?
I think I learned from all those guys. Some of them, it was the organization. Some of them, it was defense. But I love the offensive mindset that Mike White has, where he's always attacking. I think that's fun basketball. And when you go out and recruit student athletes, they tend to want to play like that. If you want to get them in there and run a bunch of sets, those guys don't want to play for you. So I try to make it a fast-paced game where we push the ball in transition and recruit athletes and allow them to go out and make plays.
Like I told you, I watch a lot of college basketball, and I saw a really neat feature on Nate Oates, the head coach at Alabama. He was an old math teacher, and he had this chart up about how, if we take X amount of three-pointers, we should, in our pace of play, all this stuff. And he doesn't want his players to take a whole lot of mid-range shots. It's either like layups or three-pointers. Do you buy into that, or what's your philosophy offensively?
We've been to, like I said, 8 NCAA tournaments in 9 years, and we've never, concentrated on anything like that. I mean, that works for him. I just want you to make the basket. Whether it's 2 or 3, it doesn't matter to me. But, they've had a great year. Alabama's won the regular season SEC championship. They won the tournament. They're great offensively. And that's just the way they play, either threes or layups. But I think you got to do what's best for your team. And we're a team that pride ourselves in defending, rebound, and playing with toughness. We've never been a team that was big offensively. We always won because of defense.
Yeah, no question about that. Speaking with Coach Isaac Brown here for a few more minutes. Okay, so right now, y'all are in Indianapolis, and you had to fly there. Just kind of, it's a unique situation with all of COVID. Every team is in Indianapolis. They're playing, I think, at Butler, at the University of Indiana. They're playing at Purdue. I think they play one where the Pacers play. So there's a bunch of different venues. You've been to a bunch of tournaments. You ain't never had to just sit in your hotel room for a while and have food delivered there. Just real quick, let our listeners know kind of what y'all are having to do day one.
So last night, after we found out we were going to the NCAA tournament, we had to go back to our rooms, pack our bags, and just be prepared for the NCAA to call us to let us know when we were going to leave. We thought we may leave last night. The flights got pushed back to this morning. When we landed in Indianapolis, we only have 24 people in our party, but they gave us 3 buses. So we got 3 buses that 8 people got on each bus because they want to separate you. So once we got to the hotel, we immediately had to go take COVID tests. After you took the COVID test, they gave you a gift bag with, a lot of masks, a lot of souvenirs, just everything. You go to your room, they give you a big bag of water, stuff to bring in to drink. You have to sit in your room for 12 hours to start with. We're going to take another COVID test at 7 a.m. I heard a knock at my door. I went to open it. It was a guy that delivered food. They're going to deliver food again at 7 o'clock. Our entire basketball party is on the 6th floor. You cannot leave the 6th floor to go to another floor. But for 18 hours, you got to stay in your room. So after those 18 hours and the test results come back, now we can start meeting on the 6th floor. So after that, I guess I'll find out the other rules. But that's just day one.
That is crazy. So in the meantime, kids just basically, do they have their own room or they stay paired up?
Yes, they have their own room. Everybody got to be in their own room. Can't come out for no reason.
And so I guess they're just watching TV, movies, whatever. I mean, that's got to be tough, but they can go out and walk along the hallway or whatever. They can't even do that, huh?
They can't leave their room right now for 18 hours. You cannot come out of your room. Now you can Zoom with the coaches and I can show you some scouting reports, talk to you about stuff like that. You can Zoom with the strength and conditioning coach. Maybe he can give you a workout in your room, something that you can do, push-ups, sit-ups, stuff like that, but you can't go out the room.
So with it being unique, everybody in the same area, and then so y'all play Thursday night against the Drake Bulldogs, but you're playing in West Lafayette where Purdue University is, correct?
I'm not sure where we're playing, Shane, to be honest with you, man.
I actually thought that's what my phone said, but maybe not. So I don't know how. I know the Gators are playing Friday at Hinkle Field House, which I believe is there in Indianapolis. So I was curious how far Purdue and the Indiana University are from where everybody is. Is that like an hour bus ride for you guys or what? Do you have any idea?
I'm not sure how far Purdue is from where I'm at now, but I was told at the place we play at tomorrow, it'll take us an hour to get there.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. So you probably have 3 buses and y'all will be heading down to wherever you're playing. And okay. All right. So you got the Drake Bulldogs. Tell us a little bit, once you find out who you're playing, you have certain coaches that are in charge of certain scouting departments or what have you. How quickly can you get your plan together?
Well, right after they show you who you're playing, I met with the coaching staff. Coach Godino, he coached in the Missouri Valley. When I was at Wichita State, we played in the Missouri Valley, and he's familiar with that program, so he has that scout. Maybe an hour later, he would have about 5 to 10 games on the Drake Bulldogs. All of a sudden, we got another coach that's going to study USC. I'm going to go back and break down our game from Cincinnati, talk about the good and the bad. All of a sudden, Coach Cadino, right after that, he's going to talk about Drake. Drake is a good basketball team. They won 25 games in the Missouri Valley. The Missouri Valley teams are always good when they get to the NCAA tournament. Number one is because their conference tournament ends early. Number two, I think it's because playing in the Missouri Valley, you get on those winning streaks, 9, 10, 11 games. When you get in the NCAA tournament, you know how to win. It's like when you play in these conferences like the SEC, you don't go on 10, 11, 12 game winning streaks because the competition is a little bit different. So those teams, I feel like they just get so used to winning till they feel like they can't lose once they get in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, that's a great point there. Let me ask you this. COVID's, I don't know if y'all have had any COVID issues or I don't on your team you have?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how hard has it been this year, on the players and the coaches and everything y'all had to go through?
Man, it's difficult. At one time we had no issues. We got ready to go play in the Battle of Atlantis, and they moved the Battle of Atlantis that was in the Bahamas to South Dakota of all places. So we went to South Dakota. We hadn't had one positive test. We fly in on a Friday. We get our test later on that night. We found out 2 guys had COVID. We had 3 other guys that had close contact. The hotel that we were staying in that day told us we had to get out. So we were forced to go to another hotel to stay the night. We flew back to Wichita. We had a game 8 days later, I think, and it was versus Oklahoma State. We had to play Oklahoma State with 8 players. We turn around 3 days later, we got to play Mizzou with 8 players. So we've never missed a game due to COVID, but we had some guys out due to COVID. So we were lucky this year that we didn't miss one game due to COVID. You know, other teams have. We never did. We had to cancel a game because that tournament kicked us out, but we never missed the game because we couldn't play.
So Thursday night, you got the Drake Bulldogs, they've had a really good year, another mid-major program, as you said. What does Wichita State have to do to win that game?
We just got to play better than we did last game. On offense, we got to keep it simple. We got to share the basketball. We got to have good spacing. We got to make sure we execute, especially against the zone. Here lately, teams have been playing a zone because we've been really good off the bounce, and we just got to make sure we execute, take good shots, get in our right spots. On defense, we just got to defend at a high level. We got to rebound. We got to play with toughness. And if you do those things in the NCAA tournament, you can win basketball games.
What have they said about the NCAA? I know they're going to allow some fans in, right? Do the parents of the kids are they able to go?
Yes, they get to come. I was told that it's 25%. I'm not sure what that number is. I guess it depends on the size of the arena. But parents are allowed to come.
Well, Isaac, wish you guys a lot of luck. It's bizarre what you're having to do, sitting in the hotel room, can't leave, food being delivered to all the players. But, hey, at least we have a tournament this year. By the way, the logo on your shirt, whatever that little guy's called, is one of my favorite mascots in all of sports. I love that guy. Shocker. Well, that's pretty original. But I love that logo. I may have to get one of those T-shirts now.
But thanks for having me on your show, brother. I definitely send you some shirts. Really enjoy watching y'all football team, man, on Friday nights. I couldn't wait to get in the stadium to watch you throw an 80-yard bomb to Grant or Terrell Buckley return a kick return. You guys were just so talented, man. To go 14-0, you guys made us so proud just to put Pascagoula on the map. And I was really excited to watch you guys play, man.
Yep. Well, it was fun playing with you in high school and basketball, and we wish you a lot of luck. So happy you're a head ball coach now, and that is your AAC Coach of the Year right there, Isaac Brown. Hey, good luck, my man, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Shane. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yep, that's Isaac Brown. Giving us a rundown of what's going on in the bubble up in Indianapolis. We're going to wrap up this Tuesday edition. We'll be right back.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Carter Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.